sorry for being so late.
John, good to see you. It's been so long.
Sherlock, this is my friend from the army, Colonel Hayter.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Sherlock.
Holmes. Anyway, thanks for letting us stay here.
It's the least I could do for the man who saved my life.
Sherlock's been feeling sick from all the stress he's been under. He's been in a hospital bed for days. I figured it was time for him to take a well-deserved break away from everything.
That's a shame. What caused all the stress?
His last case was a big international scandal, but it's,
Top secret?
yeah, something like that.
We had some excitement of our own just a few days ago. There was a burglar.
Yep. Yes? Oh.
Ms. Acton's mansion was broken into. There was no great damage done, but the burglar hasn't been caught yet.
No clue?
Not yet. The thief ransacked the house, but didn't get much. All that was taken was a bottle of vitamins, a bobblehead, a timer, a Game Boy, and a camera.
The police ought to make something of that. Obviously, it must...
Sherlock, we are here to relax.
Oh, I'm sorry. You must be exhausted from your trip. I'll show you your beds. They're this way. Here they are.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the morning. Have a good night.
Good night. Oh, man. It's so nice to be in the country. Man, him and I go a long way back. Let me tell you. Oh. Sherlock. Oh. Sherlock, I swear you're... Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, who's that?
Inspector Forrester.
Good morning, Colonel. Sorry to bother you. I heard that Mr. Holmes of Baker Street is here.
No, he's very busy relaxing, actually.
Yes?
There was a murder at the Cunninghams last night, around midnight.
What? Who was killed? Mr. Cunningham? His son?
Neither. It was William the butler. He was shot straight in the heart.
Alec had just gotten out of the shower when he heard William calling for help. He ran down to see what the matter was and found that the back door was open. It looked like the lock must have been forced. He saw William wrestling with someone outside. The burglar shot him and Alec rushed to help, so the murderer got away. His father, Mr. Cunningham, looking from his bedroom, caught a glimpse of the figure escaping. A neighbor ran over after she heard the shot, but neither she nor Alec got a good look at the criminal. So far, we don't have any suspects.
What was this William doing there? Did he say anything before he died?
Not a word. He lives near the Cunninghams, so he probably walked over to make sure everything was all right. Ever since the robbery at Acton's, everyone's been on their guard. The robber must have bust the door open when he found William. Oh, and look, I found this in William's hand. It looks like it was torn from a larger sheet of paper. And look here, that seems to be the exact time he was killed. It almost looks like an appointment. If that's true, it's possible that William might have been in league with the thief. They might have met there together, broken in together, and had a disagreement at the last second.
Interesting. These are much deeper waters than I thought. Come! We must go to the Cunninghams at once! Tell me everything you know about the Cunninghams.
Well, Mr. Cunningham's decent enough. I know he's been part of a lot of charity events in the last few years.
Wealthy then?
Not so much anymore. He and Miss Acton have this lawsuit going. It's lasted several years. It's pretty much sucked the blood out of both of them. Apparently, Miss Acton has some claim on half of Cunningham's estate.
Hey.
Hello, Alec. This is Sherlock Holmes. He'd like to see the crime scene if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. The sooner we find out who killed our butler, the better. I'm gonna go get my father 1 second. So, have you found anything yet?
Not yet, but if we could just...
Boom! Gently, gently. Sherlock.
Sorry. Watson will tell you that I just recovered from a severe illness. This sort of thing happens every once in a while.
Yes, well, this has been a fun little mystery filled with dead butlers and fainting spells, but I think it's time we return to the mystery of how to get you to relax.
Well, since I'm here, there's something I'd like to verify first. What? Well, it's possible that the burglar got into the house before William arrived. He could have stolen something.
Sure, but I was still awake then, so I would have heard something.
Where were you at the time?
In my bedroom.
And you were in yours?
Yeah.
And both of your lights were on, I assume?
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me this! Why would a burglar break into a house when he could see from the lights that two of the family were still awake?
Well, of course. If everything made perfect sense, we wouldn't need a detective.
And as far as the burglar getting into the house before William got here, wouldn't things have been taken and moved around and stuff?
It depends on what the things were. Remember, we're dealing with a very peculiar burglar. Look, for example, at the odd assortment of things taken from Acton's.
Well, what do you suggest we do?
First, I thought it'd be a good idea to offer a reward to anyone with information. I brought this form along with me, if you wouldn't mind signing it. I thought $100 seemed reasonable.
I'd give 1,000. This isn't quite right, though. You wrote at about 1:45 an attempt was made. It was 11:45.
Oh, could you fix that for me?
Get it printed right away.
And finally, I think we should double check the whole house, just to be sure that the burglar really didn't steal anything. Do you mind showing us around, Mr. Cunningham?
Sure.
What's in there?
Oh, this is my bedroom, and like I said, since I was in there at the time of the robbery, it's not like there's any possibility, but...
Well, everything looks fine. Maybe we should check your room next.
check my room too.
Done it now, Watson! Ugh.
Hey, where'd he go?
We better go find him.
Holmes has been acting kind of strange.
Help! Help! Get off him!
Let go! Arrest these men, Inspector! They killed their butler, William. I think you'll find this very useful at the trial.
Where was it?
Just take them away first. I'll explain everything back at Hayter's. Oh, and bring this Acton. It's of the highest importance in the art of detection to be able to recognize out of a number of facts which are incidental and which vital. Now in this case, there was not the slightest doubt in my mind that the solution to the problem lied in this piece of paper. Before going any further, I would draw your attention to the fact that if the assailant after shooting William had instantly fled, then it obviously couldn't have been him who tore the paper from the dead man's hand. But if it wasn't him, it must have been Alec Cunningham himself. In fact, I have my doubts that there was an unknown man on the scene at all. Alec, after shooting William, must have panicked seeing the neighbor running towards him, grabbed the incriminating paper as quickly as possible, and stuffed it into the pocket of his bathrobe, not realizing he had ripped it. This piece formed a part of a very interesting document. Does anybody notice anything odd about it?
It does look rather strange.
That's because it was written by two people, alternating words. Compare the bold, strong hand of the one to the rather broken-backed appearance of the other. This points to a large difference in age between the two writers.
Excellent! But why would anybody do that?
Obviously, they didn't trust each other, so they decided to both have an equal hand in the matter. This would stop them from ratting each other out. Next, in order to understand the motive for the crime, I first had to solve the reason for the burglary at Miss Acton's. Now, I understood from Forrester that there was a lawsuit between you and the Cunninghams. I assumed they broke into your home to get at some document which may have been of importance in the case.
Certainly. I know what they were after. I have the clearest claim on half of their estate, and if they had found a single paper, which fortunately was being kept safe at the bank, they would have definitely crippled our case.
Well, there you go! Having found nothing, they quickly grabbed anything they could to divert suspicion, trying to make it seem like an ordinary burglary. That much was clear, but in order to find out more, I would need the rest of the piece of paper, which I assumed was still in Alec Cunningham's bathrobe pocket. When we arrived to check, it was very important that the Cunninghams not be reminded of the existence of the paper. The inspector was about to tell him when my illness caught up with me and I collapsed.
So it was an act?
Well done.
Some might say a little too well done, actually.
When I recovered, I managed to get Mr. Cunningham to write the word 12 to compare it with the one on the paper. When we entered Alec's bedroom, I quickly spotted his bathrobe. Once we went to Mr. Cunningham's room, I created a distraction and ran back to check its pockets. I just barely got the paper when the Cunninghams sprang on me, ready to murder me in order to defend their secret. I'm sure they would have succeeded too if it wasn't for your help. As for the motive of the murder, my guess is that William learned the truth about the robbery and threatened to expose them. They had the letter delivered to him, luring him to his death. If they'd only gotten the whole note, suspicion might never have been aroused. Nevertheless, Watson, I think our quiet rest in the country has been a distinct success, and I anxiously await returning to Baker Street tomorrow.